Today we're going to go through an installation process to swap out the base suspension on a 2.0 with the track suspension. Now what I learned is that the track suspension has a lot stiffer spring rates and struts, shocks set up, and so we're going to be doing a swap between the base and the track edition. Get your wheels off, and after you've securely raised the car, if you're doing this on your driveway, we're going to go ahead and remove this bolt and this too, and we're going to loosen them. We're also going to loosen the end links, which, yeah, there we go. It's coming up in the picture right here, and at its bottom counterpart, if I can get the video to focus. And we're going to loosen the bolts at the very top of the strut tower from the engine bay, which I'll show you when we get to that part. To give you a quick preview on the driver's side, how it looks like. There's two bolts, the end link, and the top of the strut tower, which we will get to shortly. I accidentally pushed stop when I didn't mean to. But either way, we got the bolts out, and then you just slide the spindle off the strut tower. Next, we're going to remove the bolts from the top. And the strut comes out, no problem. Now just put the strut in place and apply the screws on the top, but don't tighten it all the way. And then we're going to apply the bolts on the bottom, and once we connect everything, we'll tighten it all up. The end links between the base and the track are identical, so you can leave your own end link inside and just disconnect and reconnect once you put the new strut tower in.
You want to leave the same?
Now just tighten it up. To tighten the top of the strut tower later once we bring the car down. Right now we're just going to go ahead and start on the other side, on the driver's side, and basically just repeat the same process. Remove the bolts, take it out, put the other one in, and bolt it up. So we'll get back to you when we're tightening up the top of the strut tower.
Be careful on this wire.
The ABS line. One thing that he pointed out is just to be careful with the ABS line sensor that goes to the wheel hub when you're taking this apart so it doesn't snap. Easy as pie. Doro, can you put them side by side just to show them the part number piece when you have them?
That one?
Yeah. So one thing I just want to point out is you can actually compare when you get your replacements, make sure that the part numbers are not exactly the same. It's not going to come up on the video very well, but they're actually etched in, engraved on this part of the strut, one being the base and the other being the track edition. So just look closely at the last 4 digits, they should be different. Now we're installing the new one. Then just put the bolts back in. Once you hand tighten, then you can go ahead and tighten with the air tools. And don't forget to tighten up your strut towers from the top. start on the back ones. So what you need to do is remove the 2 bolts at the top of the shock and remove the one at the bottom right here as we started, and then later on we're going to remove this other bolt so we can get the lower control arm to come down. But I think there's a couple of other things that we're going to do, but we'll go over it in just a second.
El otro video lo hacemos más fresco. Uno por la que sigue.
And you want to remove the bolt for the anti-sway bar in the back. It'll make it to where you can lower the lower control arm a lot easier. Actually, it won't even be possible unless you remove it.
Tiene mucha presión, pero todos por safety vamos a poner.
To put some kind of a transmission stand underneath the control arm so that you don't have it to where it just comes down real easily. It makes the job a lot easier to have control over the suspension as you're taking this all apart. When trying to remove that last bolt, I think you're going to have trouble if you don't use something like this to where you can control the pressure. Once you remove it, just simply keep pushing down until you can get that spring out. And it shouldn't take too much effort, and it comes right off. Now we're putting the new spring back in place. Installation is basically the reversal of removal.
Le voy a ganar ahí. ¿Cómo no acaban?
¿Qué no vas a ganar?
Now basically we're just raising the bottom control arm so we can align the holes to put the bolts back in. The spring back in place and you put the bottom bolt, it's time to put the shock back in place and put in the second bolt. down on the shock to compress it a little bit just to get it to fit. And then just install the 2 mounting bolts. Once you tighten everything up, the only last part is to reinstall the anti-sway bars, or rather anti-sway bar bolts. Now we're finalizing on the anti-sway bar. Once you tighten everything up, just put the wheels back on, and that completes the installation.